Hey guys, let's say bringing you another video. Welcome back to the patch note breakdown. This is for 25.08, so hopefully we'll get some good changes. Obviously, well, whatever usually is the first picture of a patch note, yeah, they're releasing this, so it is the exalted skin for Maud. They've improved it from what I've seen, but these skins are not worth it at all. But yeah. So let's get into it. Ooh, I like that. So obviously, if you guys have seen the changes, it's all becoming Spirit Blossomy. Presumably, the patch note kind of preview is now reflecting that. So we're getting nerfs to Gwen, Lulu, Tristana, Yona, Yorick, and Yuumi. It's kind of like when they buffed Yuumi a little while ago. Was it last patch? I was like, that's not a good idea. They're buffing Blitzcrank, Brand, Hwei, Mel, Renekton, Shen, Singe, Sona, Xerath, Zeri, and Zoe. They do not need a buff Zoe, by the way. I would predict that she'll get nerfed next patch or that patch after. We'll see if that happens. And then we're getting adjustments to Annie, Ahri, and Syndra. So, there's a Renekton Nexus finisher. I have no idea about that, but anyway. So, Summoner's Rift ranked Season 1 end. There is no reset. 0. So you say ranked progression will not reset. But there's a ranked reward mission that will be refreshed. And a Victorious Twisted Fate that you're getting for playing in Season 1. So again, just to make it very clear, because people are like, why are they calling it Season 1, 2, and 3 then if there's no ranked reset? There was supposed to be a ranked reset. Obviously, last year, we had 3 ranked resets, 3 different times in the year. It was absolutely despised. It was hated. It killed the player number of ranked League of Legends players. But obviously, when they're planning all the things within Riot, they are planning, a year ahead of time. So they were planning, oh, we're going to make it a Noxus theme for Season 1, and then we'll make it a Spirit Blossom for Season 2, and then it will change again for Season 3. That was already in the plan. So they couldn't just pull that. That's a lot of funding and a lot of artwork to make all the map different. So they were like, well, we've got to keep doing that, but we're just not going to reset the rank. That's basically it. What they should have done, obviously it was an experiment last year that failed. They shouldn't have done the ranked resets last year, and they should have tried it this year. It still would have gone bad, but at least it would have made more sense with the Season 1, 2, and 3 thing. But yeah. Right, let's get into the changes. Ahri, armor growth decreased, W damage adjusted, and cooldown increased, E damage increased. So obviously there's the Rod Leandri's build that I'm a bit like there. They're just going to probably make her a bit squishier and get her damage in different places. So yeah, she's going to be squishier when it comes to armor. Her W is being buffed in terms of damage. So this might be, yeah, by the look of it, it is. So it's a higher cooldown, but it's actually more damage when it comes to scaling with AP. Less base damage in both the damage and max damage is less base damage, and you need more AP. So that's actually where Rod of Ages isn't great, because you're not getting a lot of early AP. And then also the charm, again, you need a AP. So that's where they're going to try and force her to go back into this. Well, again, I've never built the Rod build. I've seen majority of Ahris do terribly with it. But they're going to probably just try to force her to be what she is in her design, a burst mobility mage. So there's that. Annie, so this is a bit of a Yorick update, as it were, for Annie. So it says it here, for a while now, too much of Annie's power budget has been in Tibbers. So one thing that Riot are looking to do, and I would say they're doing it for some champions and they need to do it for others. Garen and Warwick 100% need this. They're trying to take unskill things and try to put skill into other places. So when you just get fundamentally hit by a Tibbers, and then a Tibbers is hitting you with a Malignance proc, you're getting killed by something you can't outskill, right? Like, there's no mechanics to that. That's just the way that it is. So they're going to tone down the Tibbers and actually put more damage into Annie's Q and W. And like, that's still not very skillful. No, Annie's not a skillful champion, but it's where the power budget of a champion goes. And what right now, and again, the way that design is supposed to work is, let's say every champion has 100% of power, right? And you have to divide where that power goes. So for Annie, it's a small percentage in her passive. It's a decent percentage, you know, in her Q and her W. Her E's probably got a bit less, but then 50% of Annie's power budget is all in her ultimate. So they're probably going to reduce that to 40%. And then that 10% that you got left over, you can put that a little bit back into Q or a little bit into W, whatever they're going to do. So that's kind of the idea of what they're doing. So where before it felt really awful just being wabammed by a Tibbers, it's the same with Yorick. It felt awful just being killed by Maiden and Ghouls because where's the outplay? So Yorick himself has to actually do a bit more. And that's what they're going to try and do here. So health growth is going down, making Annie herself a little bit squishier, a bit more obviously easy to kill. And then as we've said here, so the power budget, you can already tell some of it is going into Q. So she's getting a base health increase, base damage increase, and a 5% ability power increase for her Q. And then her W, again, is getting a buff in terms of two things. Base damage starts to increase at rank 2, upward of 20 damage at rank 5, and also a second increase, so that's also some power budget. And then obviously the nerfs to Tibbers is he is getting magic penetration, so that's pretty good. But a massive nerf to his flame aura, so the ticking damage around him, that's being massively nerfed. And also his auto attack damage is once again being nerfed. So he'll be doing less tick damage. So again, especially that, you know, with the Malignants and Leondres and then a Tibbers on top of you, that's where it just kind of was like, oh my god, I'm being killed by a Tibbers just on me. It's not like even just about the burst anymore that Annie used to do. It's more just a Tibbers staying on your face. So the passive bonus and magic penetration is nice because obviously that does help a Tibbers, but that also helps the Q. That helps the W. Like, that's a general buff for Annie, and it's not just about a Tibbers staying on top of something, walking next to them. So I'm cool with that. I like it. Blitzcrank, a passive shield increased, Q damage increased. So yeah, Blitzcrank is struggling. So his passive's going up by 5% of max mana, and his rocket hook is going up by a bit of base damage. The problem that you got with Blitz, it's not really, how do I say, it's not really a problem with Blitz. It's more about how the game has gone. Hook champions are very high risk. And when, like, you look at a support, so what can a Blitzcrank do is they can hook someone in. But in Modern League, it's quite risky even hooking somebody in, because in the way of the game, if you hooked a Viego in or you hooked the wrong champion in, you're half the time going to kill your AD carry because a Blitzcrank can't stop them. An AD carry will get one shot depending whoever gets hooked in. If you hook in a tank, well, they're not going to die. So it's where, like, you know, why would you play something like a Blitzcrank that can just hook one risky champion in versus playing, let's say, something like a Rel that you can jump in, CC 3 or 4 of them and be like, wabam, team, good luck, go for it. There's just not much point. So it's just the way the game's kind of gone. It's too high risk, I would say. And if you want to play a hook champion, you know, Blitz is the riskiest because he's useless unless he lands the hook. Pyke has other elements to him that makes him useful. You know, his percentage execute ultimate is insane against tanks. You know, a tank could be on whatever percentage Pyke's execute is. Let's say it's 15-20%. They could still have over like 1,500 health, 2,000 health, but Pyke can kill it where other champions can't. That's a support. That's useful. Thresh, you miss your hook where you've still got your E-Flay, you've still got your ultimate, and you've still got a lantern that can help people get out of trouble. It's a lot more useful than a Blitz. So, yeah. Next up is Brand. Passive damage per tick to monsters increase. God, they are hard forcing Brand back into the jungle, by the way. So a blaze damage per tick to monsters is going up from 215% to 240. This will help basically his jungle clear. So speeding up his jungle clear once again. Gwen, really OP champion. They're probably not even going to nerf what she needs to be nerfed. No, they're not. So the E on hit damage is going down, but that's not the thing that fundamentally is the problem with Gwen. It's her Q and her ultimate. The Q that does billions of true damage that isn't hard to land because you get it so often with E reset and obviously rushing and Nashers, your auto attacks are quick. And then obviously the ultimate still does too much. So yeah, they are nerfing Gwen once again, even though she had changes recently. Or on-hit damage is going down, but the scaling of AP is staying the same. And it's exactly the same as mid to late game. It's just an early game nerf. Hwee! Passive damage increased, our damage increased. So the thing with Hwee is he's a really cool champ, but well, compared to most new champions, he is actually hard to play. But I think it's for two reasons. One, individually, he's actually a hard champion. He has 9 abilities, the most out of any champion in League of Legends. Intertwining them in the exact right way, making the correct decision at the right time is difficult. And also mages, mobile mages, are very hit or miss in League of Legends nowadays. You know, Hwee, if he roams and he's playing against something like, I don't know, Akali, it's really high risk of him moving. And if you don't move in the modern game, you're the one that's screwing your team. It's why I don't play mid anymore. However, I will say things may get better for mages in the upcoming changes. If you haven't watched my video on the main channel earlier today, go do that, because I kind of go through all the changes. They are doing a couple things that I hope will tone down roaming meta. So the big one is the Void Grubs, which obviously gives a lot of movement all over the map in the early game. They're getting rid of 2 spawns. So there's not going to be the first 3 and then the second 3. There's only 1 set of Void Grubs, and I think it's later into the game. So that should calm down the early game. There shouldn't be a reason that a support is near top lane or even mid lane in the first 5 minutes anymore. Obviously, there is a reason at the moment, because I think the first set of Void Grubs spawns at 6 minutes, where I think now it's going maybe to 10 minutes as the only set. So that does give mages a bit of a kind of more stable early game. And also when it comes to Rift Herald, I think it is. Again, Rift Herald usually was forcing fights happen, when in Mage, even at that point, didn't really want to. You can now, I think, solo potentially Rift Herald and Atakan easier. You don't need your teammates always there. It's riskier. They do more damage to you, but a jungler could solo them. So you don't have to be there anymore, which is good. Lulu, again, very stable. As the enchanters go, Lulu is just probably the most stable. Her kit is very good, and again, when you look at how the game is played, why Lulu above something else? Because of what Lulu offers. So what does Lulu offer? Right now, damage is quite high, and that's just the way League is. And it's not damage is quite high. If you look at a lot of strength in League, it's all about things jumping on things. Mobility, movement speed, getting onto an AD carry. Oh god, the AD carry's dead. A Soraka can't stop that. A Lulu can. A Lulu could ultimate the AD carry, which gives CC a knock up to, let's say, if a Warwick just decides to yeet onto your AD carry, well, you can ult your AD carry, immediately stopping the Warwick ultimate. Oh god, Warwick's going to start auto-attacking. Polymorph him. He can't auto-attack anymore. So, like, Lulu has strength against what is also strong right now. Because that sometimes happens. People go, how does such and such champion become meta even though they get no changes? Sometimes when other champions get changes and that makes them strong, the things that are good against those things immediately become better. And then they will be played even though they have not had changes themselves. But they are nerfing Lulu. So they're making her squishier. So fundamentally, she's doing, all of her job still. And arguably what this is going to do is where, like right now, as I said, people will yeet on top of the AD carry next to a Lulu. If Lulu herself is squishier, they should jump on the Lulu herself, kill her as quick as possible, then go on the AD carry. That's maybe what they'll do. So it's a pretty decent nerf for the early game. 30 health, that you will feel that in the early game. Mel, attack speed and base health increased. I will say Mel has felt quite underwhelming for a while. I played her a week ago, 2 weeks ago, and her damage. And I will say, I think, honestly, her damage isn't bad if it wasn't like Bruiser tank meta. She can't do anything when people have got 4,000 or 5,000 health and they then do a lot of damage themselves. There's no chance. If it was a squishy, high damage meta and there weren't bruisers and tanks every game, I think she'd be pretty good. But she's just not good against the game right now. So health is going up. Surprise, surprise, because that is kind of the meta. Oops. Health going up. And passive damage is also going up. That will help. The passive damage of doing constant, the stacks, that will be good. Mr. Renekton, I will say I played him today. I did well in the early game, and then I realized, why the hell did I pick Renekton? I was in the mood to play him. I will say that's why I picked him, but oh, he's so bad. So his damage for his ultimate is going up. at higher ranks. So higher ranks obviously means level 11 and level 16, level 2, level 3 ultimates. That's scaling for Renekton. It still won't do anything. He still is fundamentally too weak in terms of like even the mid game. Like I was playing against a Darius, I was doing well against a Darius, but the moment that we both hit around level 8, level 9, level 10, it was over for me, you know? And that's most matchups for Renekton now. So they're giving him a small buff. And obviously I will say that the problem that you've got with something like a Renekton, and this is where, like, you know, when I said about that power budget, that most champions have 100 and they have to divide it up. There are some champions, and I would say, that have less than 100, and there are some champions that have got more than 100. I'd say a lot of modern champions, it feels like they've got more than 100% in terms of where their power should go, because they have too much power everywhere. And then there's champs like Renekton that it kind of feels like they've got 80% of a power budget. Why? Pro play. It's the same with Gnar. Gnar is exactly the same too. Because they are pro-jailed, that they are, if they are at all a little bit strong, they immediately are played every game in pro play. Riot do keep them on the weaker side more often than not. So it does feel like Renekton suffers because of how popular he is as a pro pick champion. But a little bit of a buff, obviously. You know, it is what it is. Shen, my boy. I love Shen. And yeah, the thing is, despite his recent increases to tower damage, which does help, he is still underperforming. Fundamentally because he is too weak in the 1v1. Again, like I said, if you are playing Shen and you do need to go help your team and you come back to your tower and your tower's nearly dead, either you need to have very good 1v1 strength because, you know, you need to like kill your opponent 1v1 and then you need to decide, right, am I pushing for tower or am I looking for an ultimate to help? Or when he does teleport away with his ultimate, he needs to have enough presence that he can help get a double kill, triple kill, and makes the enemy top laner kind of think, oh, maybe I should have teleported to that fight too. Shen just doesn't have that amount of strength. So his Q, slow when moving away from Shen, is an increased slow. And then his W, which obviously is the anti-auto attack thing, it's a 2-second buff every rank. I mean, that's nice, but fundamentally this doesn't make Shen a more powerful 1v1 top laner. And that's the meta in top lane, obviously. It's all about 1v1. Like Yorick, Trundle, Darius, Garen, Teemo, Warwick. Everything's about a 1v1, and Shen just hasn't got that 1v1 power. And to be honest, like, no matter what they do, and I don't think Shen will ever have that, I think he just needs a meta change. Singed. Passive per target cooldown decreased. Okay. So it's, I think when he like hits somebody, it gives him a slight bit of movement speed, and each person he hits, he can get more movement speed, and then there's a cooldown on it. So it's reducing the cooldown so he can do that more often. Sona Q bolt damage increased at higher ranks, W heal increased. So again, Sona is a strong champion in late game. So I don't know exactly why they're buffing her late game when her late game is good. The problem that Sona has got is getting to late game. She is like the squishiest champion in the game. So they're not doing anything to that, which is weird. But yeah, giving damage to a champ that doesn't really need any damage. But then her heal, a more healing is always nice for something like a Sona. So, fair enough. Syndra, W slow reduced the higher ranks, E damage adjusted, R damage adjusted. Ooh, what are they doing? We're adjusting Syndra's incentives to make her more of a burst mage. Ooh. And less of a high uptime, full mobility Kaita who relies on high haste to whittle her opponents down in order to make burst builds competitive. I will say, so Riot is like with Ahri, they've tried to move her away from tankier things. Syndra, we want burst. Nothing will change. Nothing. These champions will just not be picked. You cannot play a burst mage when there's a 5,000 health bruiser in top lane that doesn't get one shot, cannot get one shot, and can turn around and kill you in one combo. That's just idiotic. Like, it's not going to happen. Like, to beat those mega bruisers / tanks, you need to play the whittling down with percentage damage. That's literally why people are doing it. So this is Riot, I would say, not fully understanding why people are playing even Ahri or Syndra in... Why are they building percentage health on Syndra? She's a burst mage. it's not because of her lane opponent. It's because about the game. Like, people don't just play to their 1v1 opponent in League, because that's silly. It's a 5v5 team game, and if none of your team can take out the Garen, then you have to, you know? So the slow is going down for her W, making her, again, more vulnerable in a pure 1v1 situation. Her damage, however, of her E is going down by base damage, but up in scaling with ability power, and the same for her ultimate. So damage per sphere is going down in terms of the base, but up when it comes to AP. So again, the tankier items of what you can build on the Syndra, you know, don't give the most ability power. Going like Ludens into Death Cap, full burst ability power build, that's what they're trying to incentivize. And if you don't do that and you stay with the old build, your damage is going to suffer because the base damage has gone down and you're not getting as much value from your ability power. So, yeah. Tristana, our damage decreased. The thing with Tristana, and again, she is a bit of a win, is like Tristana is strong at virtually all points in the game. Yeah, it's weird. Like, she's supposed to be a late game hyper carry, but she's an early game bully, and it's not like she's bad in mid game. It's very weird. She's one of the very few champions that doesn't seem to have any weakness, official weakness, when it comes to early, mid, or late game. She's just good. Like, the problem that Trista's got, is she the best early game AD carry? No. Is she the best mid game AD carry? No. Is she the best late game AD carry? No. But is she the worst in any of those? Hell no. She's probably, again, top 5 in all of those categories, where Draven's amazing early, terrible late. Jinx amazing late, not that good early. So, like, she's consistently good where the others aren't. So, yeah. And again, it's the kind of like, if you play Tristana, you can lane against everything, or you can play against everything. It's like, okay, I'm against a Draven. Oh, God, he beat me early. Well, you outscale him. As a Tristana, you outscale him. It's like, oh, you're against a Jinx that may outscale you as Tristana. Oh, well, you can beat her early. It's kind of weird, but yeah. So they're reducing its base damage by 50 damage per rank. So decent nerf, definitely hurting mainly her level 6 instant snowball. Zadath, passive cooldown refund increased, Q damage increased. Ooh, cool. So cooldown reduction on kill is going bit better for his killing passive. So he gets mana on restoration when he autos or hits a champion with an auto attack. And when he personally gets a kill on a minion or a champion, I guess, that reduces the cooldown. So if you're playing support Xerath and you're not last hitting a lot, you will not get the value from the passive anymore. That's what the kind of nerf was. It's trying to incentivize mid lane Xerath. And then the damage for his Q, though, is going up by base damage, which, again, for a mage that typically doesn't do a lot of damage early, that'll be nice. Oh god, Zeri. Again, it's scary as hell whenever they do anything with Zeri, because it's just the base of her kit is busted. She just is. So, like, I think Riot knows she's an unhealthy champion. I think August, he designed her. He knows she's unhealthy. She didn't land, like, in a balanced way. This champion is basically useless or overpowered. There's no middle ground, and that's just the way that she is, just because of her kit. So when you see a buff for this champion, it is scary as hell, because then it's just like, oh god, is she going to be OP again? So we'll see. So it's an ultimate increase. The chain lightning damage is going from 25% total AD to 30% AD. So it's a small buff, you would say, and not her core kit. But yeah, this champion, I hope, never gets strong again. Kind of like this one. So yeah, they're nerfing Yone, surprise, surprise. And what's actually funny is they're nerfing Yone when it comes to his target's max HP damage, because of the meta, everything's building health, and Yone's too good against health. So it's like, Riot need to change the meta, because everything's just health. But yeah, they're just nerfing Yone because he's too good against health, having his W, which obviously gives him a shield, and also does percentage health, target max HP. So yeah, they're making him more reliant on auto attack uptime, less reliant on just pressing W every few seconds. Fair enough. Mr. Yorick Mori, very strong champion. I've had some good games of him recently, but passive monster damage taken and damage to monsters increased. so better for jungle Yorick. E, damage formula adjusted, and R, mark only affects champions. Ooh, that's a big change for jungle Yorick. And that's why they're giving him buffs elsewhere, I guess. So yeah, his passive, the Shepherd of Ghouls, the Goodies, they are going to be doing more. Well, they're taking more damage, but they're also dealing more damage, I guess, in terms of jungle monsters. His E, ooh, used to do flat damage. It's now 10% of target's max HP. So again, remember, everything right now, what did I just say about Yona? Everything is about health. Everybody builds health. Everybody ends up with thousands of health per game. So if you're giving a champion like Yorick 10% of target's max HP, that's pretty good. And it's an incentive, 3% extra per 100 ability power. That makes Leandri's Yorick even better. And then there are damage caps to both. There are caps to lane minions as well. But then his ultimate, the mark only affects champions. That's a nerf, I would imagine, to like kind of solo Yorick when it comes to big objectives, in terms of him soloing a Baron or him soloing Adakan with Maiden. Because obviously the mark of Maiden, I think, makes the damage increase or whatever. So yeah, that does nerf that a fair amount. Zoe. Damage fall off to second. Okay, that's what they're doing. So what they're doing to Zoe, and I think it's good, because again, I think this champion is actually really strong. But it's situationally strong. So Zoe is not very good against high health targets. Like when things have 5,000 health or whatever, Zoe's not great against that. But if you're in a solo queue game where for some reason people have ignored the health meta and everyone plays kind of standard in old way and everyone's kind of just mediocre when it comes to like tankiness, no one's a full tank, you've got a mage against a mage, an assassin against assassin in the jungle, Zoe's an absolute monster. Like in terms of how strong she is right now, if there aren't massive health things in the game, she is very strong. But if there are massive health things in the game, Zoe can't do anything to them. So that's why I guess she's having a buff, because she's not good in the meta. But if it's not a meta game, she's very strong. But what they're doing is, as she is fundamentally not an AoE mage, she's a pure single target mage, they are giving slight damage increase to her Q, hitting AoE secondary targets. So there's no damage fall off now. So you might see a Zoe one-shot 2 people. If she hits a sleep and then she goes really far away, comes in with a massive Q, and it so happens like the AD carry and support are next to each other, she might be able to do that. So, yeah. No. Item changes. Ability haste of Crypt Bloom is going up, so making it better, because again, you don't see many people buy it. Dead Man's Plate, the slow resist is going down because the item is too strong. So that's good. Opportunity is going up in terms of how much lethality it's giving, and then after being in combat phase again, it's also being nerfed for ranged champions though. So ranged champions will not be getting the benefit basically of this buff. They'll be getting the base buff, but they're not getting an increased like melee champions are in total. Fair enough. Overlord's Blood Mail, which again, everything's about health. What are they doing? Bonus AD equals to 2% of bonus health. Bonus AD equals to 2.5% of bonus health. So there, it's a buff. And then Retribution 0 to 10% based on missing health. Bonus AD is now 0 to 12% based on missing health. But that's a like, honestly, obviously, there's one main champion that uses this, Set. This item and Set are absolutely mental together. It might open up more champions to buy it, like Scion. It's a really good item on Scion as well. And I don't think it's like, again, Overlord has been fine, but not exceptionally powerful. That's the point. It is fine. It's just not popular. So this is Riot kind of forcing it for some reason to be popular. Not sure why. ARAM changes, arena changes, skin updates. Oh. Grand Reckoning Scion, Grand Reckoning Scion, Grand Reckoning Talon. So they're just making them better from, I guess, last patch. The Pay Stupid Mordekaiser skin is coming to the Sanctum. And obviously, yeah, it has had a bigger update, but it's still not worth it. But there we go. Also, Victorious Twisted Fate obviously is the ranked reward if you did play ranked in this last split or season. It's weird. And it looks all right, you know. He's not the, well, obviously a little while ago he was a very popular champion being the top lane cheese pick, but he's kind of back to kind of being a one-trick champion again. So yeah, not the most popular champ. And then you've got Fate Breaker Taric, Fate Breaker Malzahar, and Fate Breaker Nasus. Or Maker, sorry. Fate Breakers and Fate Makers. Not really sure what they are in terms of like theme, like Prince of Persia a bit. I'm not really sure. If you know what they may be based off, let me know. But that's gonna be it. That is the patch. I still think it's kind of insane. We've still not seen proper Garen or Warwick nerfs. If you've been watching the content recently, you know we've been climbing really well. Overall, you know, we went from Diamond 4 to Diamond 2 in literally one play session, and every day I'm kind of playing one Garen game, one Warwick game. I can't play any more than one because they are fundamentally too boring, but they are so overpowered, both of them. They need to be toned down. Basic champions in general need to be toned down, and Riot just isn't doing it, and I don't understand why. But yeah, it would be interesting to know, but anyway, that's going to be it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. If you did, do throw a like on it, throw a comment, throw a subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.
Welcome to the Rift, where the legends play. It's Ozzy Games bringing skill every day. From tips to tricks and play so fine. You'll learn the game and have a good time. Thanks for watching, you're the real MVP. Hit that like and sub, join the family tree. Like, comment, and subscribe. Keep the Ozzy dream alive. Tune in on Twitch, it's the place to be. Ozzy Games, let's go hang with me. So hit that bell, don't miss a thing. Thanks for the love you're making